It's a fair expectation that once you roll credits on a game, it's over. And if not then surely when you hit the 100% completion rate. Then again, there are games that have entire extended sections beyond their credits roll. And then there are those that completely flout basic mathematics and have completion rates over 100%. That last one is what we're focusing on in this list. All manner of games, from Metroidvanias and action adventures to fighting games, puzzle games, and RPGs, which set the stage to give only the most dedicated players full completion marks. Some of these completion rates were only discovered long after each of these games launched, but where there's a will, there's a way, and gamers are nothing if not dedicated. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 video games that go beyond 100%. Number 10, Hollow Knight, 112%. 2017 smash hit Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania, a genre that often lends itself to the aforementioned math-defying world of hitting 100% completion and then just keep it on going. The Team Cherry action romp casts you in the shoes, actually I don't think he has shoes, the little black points where his shoes would otherwise be, of the titular knight. The underground world of Hollow Nest is filled with beautiful environments, dangerous foes, and plenty of secrets. So many secrets, in fact, that when you're pretty sure you're done exploring, you're actually still a ways off. With multiple expansions and endings, there's far more to do than it might initially appear. There's actually a website called HollowKnightChecklist.com where you can check out the 123 items, abilities, and everything else that you're going to need to cross off if you want to hit that 112% rank. Reaching the final completion rating is no easy feat, especially since the game is already challenging without forcing you to defeat all its bosses, collect every mask shard, and best every trial. If you've achieved it, you've got a lot to be proud of. Number 9, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, 1000%. Well, this percentage is just silly, but we've already given up all idea of what numbers actually mean, so we may as well plow right on into 4 figures, and Castlevania has made that possible. Despite being amongst the highest completion percentages on this list, yes, it's not the highest, the reasoning behind the wild number for Konami's stellar 2005 platformer is actually surprisingly simple. While there are typical 100% completion scores for quests, items, and enemies encountered, it's the map that soars well beyond that. Simply, there are 10 maps, each of which give you 100%, so cross each off and altogether they grant you the 1000% rating. Like many games on this list, Portrait of Ruin is a slam dunk, so you'll have a great time completing it with every single little thing you need to do to get that top percentage. Also, you get to say that you got 1000% completion rating in a game, and that's just fun. Number 8, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, 120%, 100%, and 117%. Okay, so for Toys for Bob's 2018 Spyro Reignited Trilogy, there is a 100% in there, so that clearly doesn't qualify for this list, but we couldn't very well leave it out. Though Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage doesn't escalate past the traditional completion percentage in its remastered form or the 1999 original, the first game, Spyro the Dragon, tops out at 120%, and the third, Spyro Year of the Dragon, lets dedicated players hit 117%. If you want to hit those impressive completion rates, you'll need to grab every collectible gem and orb in each level, plus 100%ing each of the worlds. If you're going after this one, it's worth noting that skill points don't contribute to total percentage, so there's a little wiggle room there, and you don't have to get the 150th egg in Spyro 3. Even with those 2 allowances though, it's still going to be quite the undertaking. Number 7, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, 115%. This is an odd one as there doesn't appear to be an official word on what the absolute peak completion percentage is. Some players have reported completion rates as high as 163.6% in the game's co-op mode and 156.6% in the single player, but these seem to be outliers. The 2005 action-adventure retells the events of 1993's Mortal Kombat 2 and kicks off with you playing as both Liu Kang and Kung Lao. The game offers a co-op mode, a versus mode, and the standard single-player mode. The most commonly reported percentage that goes over that 100 mark is 115%, though there's a different completion percentage related to each character. You'll need to cross off every secret, every upgrade, the full survival mode, every fatality, all the hidden content, the smoke missions, the secret bosses, every health upgrade, and beat the game with every character, including the co-op fighter combos. It's fortunate that this is a really solid entry in the Mortal Kombat franchise and has well earned its cult status, because if you want to dot every I and cross every T, you're gonna be at it for a while. Number 6, Fez, 209.4%. Before Fez was largely associated with its creator Phil Fish abandoning the games industry entirely due to social media arguments and doxing, only to return to release Super Hypercube in 2016, it was a critically acclaimed indie puzzler that released in 2012. It also consists of a whole bunch of secrets in its rotatable 2D to 3D world and trusts the player to uncover them at their own pace. Maybe this means you find a handful and pat yourself on the back, or you consider yourself a hardcore completionist who's more than strapped in for the journey to 209.4%. There are a few misleading entries in the game's overall leaderboard, with players reporting up to 421.9%, but it's suspected these were achieved through a bugged-out anti-cube that can be repeatedly obtained. Back to legitimacy though, you'll only max out your percentage by getting your hands on every artifact, the 32 cubes that lead up to the first ending, the 32 anti-cubes which will have you arrive at the final ending, and then the 3 heart cube pieces, plus an extra 9.4% obtainable through optional Easter eggs. It's worth noting one of these heart block pieces can only be obtained after defeating this monolith puzzle that Fish himself called practically impossible, so that's a tricky one. Number 5, Cuphead, 300%. There's a lot of games on this list that want to hurt you, and I'm not even talking about the players who want to reach for the stars over 100% completion. No, in these specific sadistic cases, even the standard game's gonna test the breakability limits of your controller, and Cuphead is one of them. The 2017 deceptively delightfully animated run-and-gun side-scroller is infamously tricky. For those who love the challenge of Studio MDHR's surprisingly dark masterpiece, completing everything the game pits against you will give you 100%, whereupon Expert Mode is unlocked, letting you accumulate another 100% if you can best it. And yes, that's a big if. While the maximum percentage you can net on the main game is 200%, you can attain another 100% from the DLC. In order to do this, you'll need to complete the main quest, take on and defeat the true boss, unlock the Divine Relic, collect every coin, and complete all the boss fights, including the secret boss on Expert, plus the King's Leap stages. Also, you have to grab all of the achievements. If you've managed to get this one, there's no denying you're a Cuphead master. Number 4, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, 106%. The maximum percentage rate for Crash 4 is 106%, which sounds pretty measly compared to some of the other entries on this list, but no game is gonna make you work harder for those 6 percentage points. The 2020 platformer is brutally hard, as evidenced by a general Google of the game fronting you with a frequently asked question that reads, "Is Crash Bandicoot 4 the hardest game ever?" The classic platforming action is all there, but the core gameplay's escalated by the inclusion of quantum masks that can change certain aspects of levels, as well as more playable characters. To max out the 106% though, you'll have your work cut out for you, as you need to complete every level and obtain every collectible. That means all normal gems, all inverted gems, the 4 colored gems, and every platinum flashback, insanely perfect, sapphire and gold time trial, and platinum time trial relics. To put it plainly, that's 460 gems and 135 relics. It is a small mercy that if you get the platinum, you don't have to get the ones underneath that, but that's not really a mercy because that's harder anyway. Number 3, Environmental Station Alpha, 203%. Another Metroidvania for you now, but this one was made by Finnish indie developer who goes by Hempuli in 2015. Environmental Station Alpha incorporates elements of platforming, exploration, storytelling, and action to great effect. It's also longer than you expect it to be, as there are a ton of different things you're gonna need to cross off if you want to hit its top percentage of 203. As well as exploring every nook and cranny the alluring pixel art abandoned space station has to offer, you'll also need to ensure you complete all of the game's endings, interact with every possible item, take on just about every possible encounter in all their iterations, and find all of the game's well-hidden secrets. If you enjoy a challenge, many of these are especially hard to find, so you'll feel plenty satisfied with yourself for every extra percentage point you manage to tack on. The game also features a really tricky boss rush, but thankfully the developer did not include that as a compulsory component if you want to hit the full completion percentage, so that's a small mercy. Number 2, Jak 2, 124%. 2003 Naughty Dog actioner Jak 2 is the second entry into the Jak and Daxter franchise, and it's also a sequel and a prequel, which is really confusing if you're not across the context, but that's okay, we're not here to get into that. What we are here to get into is explaining that mysterious extra 24%, especially if you've seen other players achieve it and you haven't. The smash hit just keeps on giving past the central offering, and with a game this good, that's hardly a bad thing. If you want to cross off all there is to do here, you'll need to get your hands on 286 precursor orbs, which is a lot. These orbs are scattered around the game world, and some are only available at certain points where you may need to ensure you're within a certain mission, or you'll have to opt to return to it later. You'll also be looking to score a gold medal in all the races, take on all the minigames, and complete all the side missions, which is a pretty tough task. There is a glitch, or technically there was one before they patched it out on PS4, that would help you obtain the orbs more easily, but that would be cheating. Then again, you do you. Number 1, The Binding of Isaac, Infinity%. If you're a WhatCulture devotee, you might remember a different video on this topic from a few years back. While I ensured this list didn't contain any of the games featured on that one, I made an exception for The Binding of Isaac because the completion percentage actually went up in the time between that list and this one. Back in 2021, Edmund Macmillan's 2014 remake of the original game, which, to put it lightly, absolutely marches to the beat of its own extraordinarily strange drum, could be maxed out at 3,000,000% completion. Yes, actually. But now that the brutal roguelike has added the Repentance DLC on top of its already sky-high pile of content additions and DLCs, the new completion percentage is, drumroll, infinity. It's infinity%. If you want to be part of the wildly exclusive club that has attained this score, which will grant you with a cool infinity symbol over your save files and an obese Isaac on your title screen telling you to stop playing, you'll have to be extremely dedicated. First off, you need to obtain the Dead God trophy, the trophy to rule all trophies, basically. You get it by unlocking every other achievement and collecting every item in the game. So that means defeating every boss as every character, earning all hard mode completion marks for all characters, including tainted ones, and every other feat that makes up the game's 637 achievements. Hold on though, because we're not done. You have to do all of this not only once, but 3 times for each of the game's 3 save files. Then and only then will you hit infinity%. If you have this, you absolutely must sound off down in the comments so we can just give you a hug or something.